So a couple of weeks ago I headed west to California and I spent about 2 weeks doing this trip. Took a car, and in this video I'll be going over what happened. So our first stop was in Missouri and we had to make a stop at the Uranus Fudge Factory, and everything there, everything there is obviously a play on words. I also visited the Wilson Creek National Battlefield near Springfield, Missouri, and this is the place where the first American Civil War general was killed in battle. It's actually quite a big park for Civil War battlefields in Missouri, as most Civil War battles in Missouri were skirmishes, as the Missouri Theater was mainly based on guerrilla warfare. I also visited the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum in Oklahoma City. It had a lot of good artwork, however I wasn't able to take pictures of most of them, obviously. Then we were back on the road again to Albuquerque, New Mexico. The landscape definitely was different from hilly Missouri and a flat cornfield of Illinois. Now that we were back on the road again after being in New Mexico, and we headed to the Painted Desert. Now the Painted Desert is combined with the Petrified Forest, which has petrified wood in it. Now petrified wood is wood that's from the Jurassic Age that has been turned to stone. Now we did also go see the Grand Canyon. However, it is just a hole in the ground. You'll understand when I show you photos of elsewhere. Now after staying in Prescott, Arizona, we headed to California and we went to see the Joshua Tree National Park. Now this has the very old Joshua trees, which are, compared to most trees, extremely old. They're not the only place with them, but they're the main place where they're inhabitable. So that's where they can actually exist. But there are some that we did notice, like there was one in Arizona, but they're very rare outside of this park area. Now this is when things start to get kind of funny and strange with really silly people with trees in their trunks. It's kind of weird, but it gets worse. Now, upon entering the LA kind of area, there were a ton, and I mean a ton of wind turbines everywhere. Now, when I was in LA, I did I visited 3 colleges, and then I also visited a family that I have in the LA area. And it was nice to see family that I hadn't necessarily seen in a while. Now I did look at Long Beach, Cal State, and UCLA and USC, but I will be looking elsewhere as well. Now I did also go to Hollywood just to see Paramount Studios. They're the only one there, and they had the original Oscars of a couple of my favorite movies, and some old movie items from TV shows and movies, like the Star Trek stuff. This is from Gladiator, specifically, the movie. The chair, if you can see there, is from the original Star Trek, and I've seen this truck drive around Chicago a lot. I wonder who he is. Now, with the tour, they did take us to warehouses like the one I showed you before, but we couldn't shoot inside studios where they have shows, for obvious reasons. But they did take us to where they call it the Miniature New York or something like that. And the reason why they have these 2 doors that are really different sizes is so that one on the left is used for smaller actors and actresses, so it makes them look taller, while the one on the right makes tall actors and actresses look normal size or shorter. So I also went to the Santa Monica Beach, and it was very pretty, but it was also very interesting to see how some of the buildings were on the side of a cliff. think I have to mention this funny story that happened. So we were driving through, like, behind Santa Monica Beach, and there was this guy who was riding his skateboard while playing his guitar and singing down the street. It was the most Californian dude thing out there, man. Now after that we headed for St. George, Utah to see some of the national parks there as well. And let's just say Utah is quite mountainous, and for a flatlander like me it was quite impressive. The first wildlife I came across other than your basic stupid lizards and birds was deer in Zion Park. And that's right. Something with horns. Yes. Something else. Now, being in Red Rock Country, it was quite impressive to me, the size and just, the different colors, and everything was just quite amazing about how big and vast it seemed. It just seemed really vast. Now, I have to say the same thing for Bryce Canyon. It was quite amazing. However, it had one of my most preferred wildlife of which I hanged out with, which was a chipmunk.
Your new best friend, is he getting in the car with us?
Yeah.
Alvin!
Then we hit the road again for Escalante Canyon, which, let's just say, was a mess. I didn't take many photos of it because the road is very narrow and very tight, and it was kind of straight down if you opened your door. After that, we went to Capitol Reef, which again was quite amazing and also quite tall and large. But it also had these wall carvings that were pretty cool looking and interesting. But again, it was quite vast looking and just very interesting. Now, I did have a rude awakening the next day of my toothbrush somehow being deformed. I was able to fix it, but then we headed to Arches National Park. Again, it was quite amazing, especially with the rock formations and such. If you're wondering, those aren't ants, those are human ants. Tourists. Now, this is what I was talking about when Grand Canyon was just another hole in the ground. This, on the other hand, is at Dead Horse Point, and it's just absolutely beautiful and really cool looking and just vast. But what makes it the best is the yurts. Yes, you can get a yurt and camp out there on Dead Horse Point. What better thing to do than to become a Mongolian herd rider in a yurt at Dead Horse Point? Now then, as we continued, we went to Colorado Springs to see one of my friends who lived there, and then as we were leaving, we came across this. I think you can guess what this is. Near the Kansas border. And after that, we had a long night's drive back to Chicago, and that was kind of the end of our trip. I hoped you liked this video. If you didn't, please tell me why. I'm always looking to improve. And if you did, please subscribe, because I'm gonna upload more content, hopefully. Or if you have any suggestions for content, I'll consider maybe. Until then, see you at the next video.